Remember when superheroes didn't need a dark backstory, just a shark and a straight face? Adam West, Burt Ward, 4 legendary villains, and the most absurd spray can ever put on film. Today, we're counting down 20 weird facts you never knew about Batman. Number 20. You know that feeling when you watch Batman and everything seems perfectly calibrated? The exaggerated dialogue, the pop art fight cards, the tongue-in-cheek villainy. Here's the thing, that entire vision came from a man who had no idea what Batman was. When ABC handed producer William Dozier the property in 1965, he had genuinely never heard of the character. He read through a stack of old comics and reportedly thought they were terrible. But rather than walk away, Dozier landed on a conclusion that would define everything that followed. The only way to make this work was as high-camp pop art comedy. He told the New York Times on January 9, 1966 that he had infused the project with the pop art technique of the exaggerated cliché, operating on 2 levels, high humor for adults and high adventure for kids. He arrived at that philosophy without ever having read Susan Sontag's famous essay on camp. Dozier reportedly joked he thought camp was where you sent your kids in the summer. Espionage novelist Eric Ambler was originally attached to write the screenplay, but dropped out once he understood Dozier's approach. Lorenzo Semple Jr. stepped in and built the entire creative framework from there. Every exaggerated line delivery and every absurdly labeled gadget reflects a deliberate strategy built from day one. Not incompetence, intentional design. Dozier set the tone completely, but the composer who scored the film was not the one audiences universally remember. Number 19. Ask anyone to hum the Batman theme and you'll get the same answer. Na 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 Batman. It's one of the most recognizable television themes ever written, and it is completely absent from the theatrical film. Here's what most people don't realize. Neil Hefti composed that legendary TV theme, but the score for the 1966 movie was written entirely by Nelson Riddle, the arranger famous for his work with Frank Sinatra and Nat King Cole. Riddle's film score uses all wind instruments with no strings, giving it a propulsive, brassy character that feels distinctly cinematic. For the opening credits, he wove together individual leitmotifs for each of the 4 villains, playing them sequentially as each character appeared in spotlight. It's a sophisticated compositional choice most viewers absorb without consciously registering it. Even Adam West got this wrong. In his 1994 memoir Back to the Batcave, West incorrectly recalled the TV theme featured horns. Hefti confirmed his theme was performed by 8 session singers from the Ron Hicklin Singers, with Tommy Tedesco on guitar and Carol Kay on bass, both members of the Wrecking Crew. Riddle's score set a more cinematic atmosphere than the TV show, yet it's been largely overlooked because Hefti's theme dominates the cultural memory. Riddle's score wasn't the only iconic element that almost looked completely different from what audiences remember. Number 18. Every time Cesar Romero appears as the Joker in this film, there is a secret hiding in plain sight on his face. Once you see it, you cannot stop noticing it. Romero refused to shave his trademark mustache for the role. His condition for taking the part was explicit. The mustache stayed. The makeup department applied heavier coats of white grease paint and hoped audiences wouldn't notice. They noticed. In close-up shots throughout the film, the mustache is clearly visible through the paint. Romero eventually embraced it, saying, "It's a part where you can do everything you've always been told not to do as an actor. You can get as hammy as you like and go all out," Romero explained. Romero wasn't even the first actor offered the role. Jose Ferrer initially accepted and then turned it down. Burt Ward confirmed in interviews that Frank Sinatra also wanted the Joker. Romero himself recalled, "Everybody wanted to be a villain in Batman. It was sort of the thing to do," Romero said. Romero's refusal to shave became one of the production's most enduring visual quirks, perfectly capturing the camp philosophy of never taking itself too seriously. Pause any Joker close-up in this film. Once the mustache beneath the white paint becomes visible, it cannot be unseen. The most famous prop in the film was improvised out of sheer desperation. Number 17. The Batmobile looks inevitable. The elegant fins, the jet exhaust, the sleek black body. The reality is considerably stranger. The Batmobile began life as a 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car, hand-built by Carrozzeria Ghia in Turin, Italy, at a cost of $250,000 for Ford Motor Company. Ford later sold it to Hollywood customizer George Barris for a reported $1 as part of his relationship with Ford's custom car caravan program. Barris wasn't even the original plan. Dean Jeffries was first contracted by 20th Century Fox to build the car, starting work on a 1959 Cadillac. When the production schedule accelerated for a January 1966 TV premiere, Jeffries couldn't meet the deadline and was paid off. Barris stepped in with designer Herb Grass and metalworker Bill Cushenberry, and reportedly completed the conversion in approximately 3 weeks. During filming, the aging vehicle caused constant problems: overheating, dead batteries, failing tires. By mid-season of the TV series, the engine and transmission had to be replaced with Ford Galaxy components, a $250,000 Italian concept car sold for $1. Converted on a panic deadline by a backup customizer, became the most iconic vehicle in pop culture history. The original sold at Barrett-Jackson auction on January 19, 2013 for $4,620,000. The Lincoln Futura's original body shape remains visible beneath every modification. The Batmobile was built in 3 weeks out of panic. The screenplay was written even faster. Number 16. The dialogue in this film operates on a level that is genuinely hard to pull off. Simultaneously ridiculous and sophisticated, funny for children and satirical for adults, earnest and knowing at the exact same moment. It came from one writer, in 10 days, in a hotel in Spain. Lorenzo Semple Jr. was living in Torremolinos when William Dozier reached out. According to Semple's 2008 Television Academy Archives interview, Dozier arrived at the Ritz Hotel in Madrid with a very strange face, pulled out a Batman comic book, and asked, "Would you believe it? This is what ABC has given us to do," Dozier recalled. Semple's response was immediate. He later said, "I took one look at it and thought, I know exactly what to do. I'll go home and write it." That was the only discussion about Batman, Semple explained. He completed the full screenplay in 10 days, with approximately 3 additional days for rewrites. The Hollywood Reporter's 2014 obituary confirmed it took him 2 weeks, which lines up exactly. In those sessions, Semple invented the entire creative framework: the Bat prefix for gadgets, Robin's holy blank exclamations, the on-screen fight card graphics, and the rule that Batman must never break the law. He later called Batman the best thing I ever wrote, Semple reflected. Every gadget label and every exclamation traces back to one writer's instant vision in a Madrid hotel. The script was locked in days. Finding the right Robin took much longer. Number 15. Burt Ward's Robin has a quality that trained actors almost never achieve: genuine, unguarded enthusiasm that simply cannot be manufactured. The reason traces back to exactly what you'd expect once you know the story. Batman was Ward's very first professional acting job, chosen from over 1,100 young actors who auditioned. Before his screen test, Ward was studying at UCLA and had never appeared professionally. He later told SYFY Wire, "Nobody told me these were comic book characters. I thought it might be some Shakespearean thing," Ward said. During his screen test, Ward shouted, "Holy popcorn, Batman." West later recalled in Back to the Batcave that Ward slammed his fist into his palm with punishing enthusiasm. As he did, "I knew Batman had a Robin." Dozier was equally direct. "The boy hadn't been in anything before, but the moment he walked into my office, I knew he was Robin," Dozier said. 2 formal screen tests were filmed, West and Ward in one, Lyle Waggoner and Peter Dial in the other. Waggoner delivered a more serious reading, while Ward nailed the unpolished energy Dozier needed. Ward held a brown belt in karate and regularly sparred with Bruce Lee. When Dozier noted he seemed tall for Robin, Ward replied, "I promise you, sir, I won't grow anymore," Ward said. Ward's raw energy was precisely what the production needed. He won the part through pure enthusiasm, but the entire film almost happened in a completely different order than audiences ever knew. Number 14. Almost everyone assumes the 1966 Batman film was a victory lap, a feature-length episode designed to ride the wave of a hit TV show into theaters. The actual story is almost exactly the opposite. William Dozier's original plan was to release the theatrical film first, using it to generate interest in his proposed television series. 20th Century Fox rejected the plan because the studio would have had to cover the entire cost of a movie alone, while a TV series allowed shared financial risk. ABC's desperate 1965 ratings position rushed the TV series to a January 12, 1966 premiere, pushing the film further back. Once the series became a cultural phenomenon, Fox agreed to fund the movie. Principal photography began April 28, 1966, and wrapped within 28 days, plus 3 additional days of second unit work. Director Leslie H. Martinson later told the Television Academy in 2003 that shooting the film was no different. from the series. 27 days of shooting and maybe a day of editing, Martinson recalled. Had Dozier's original plan succeeded, the 1966 Batman would have been the world's first encounter with Adam West's character. Not a television spin-off capitalizing on a hit, but a theatrical premiere introducing an unknown property. The film's expository choices and character introductions make far more sense through that lens. This was designed as a first impression, not a victory lap. The reversed release plan created budget pressures that shaped every production decision that followed. Number 13. The 1966 Batman film has the visual feel of a production with unlimited resources, new vehicles, location sequences, action set pieces. It communicates confidence and abundance. The actual budget tells a more complicated story. Fox production records put the total at approximately $1,377,800. For a theatrical release, even in 1966, that was modest. Fox itself was financially strained during this period, which makes the investment more notable, given how stretched the studio already was. The larger budget compared to the TV series was spent almost entirely on new vehicles. The Batboat was built by Glastron Industries in Austin, Texas, in 31 days. The Batcopter was leased from National Helicopter Service. The Batcycle was constructed specifically for the film. All three vehicles later appeared in the TV series almost exclusively through stock footage recycled directly from the movie. Dozier later acknowledged the commercial challenge to the Associated Press in 1968. "We were trying to sell something that was already free to the public at home," Dozier said. The film earned approximately $3,900,000 in worldwide rentals against a $3,200,000 break-even threshold. Technically profitable, but widely considered disappointing, given the scale of Batmania at the time. Every extended Batmobile shot and every Batcopter sequence was deliberate showcasing of what the larger budget had purchased, but Fox's creative demands on the script itself were even more specific. Number 12. The gathering of the Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, and Catwoman into one united villain coalition was unprecedented in superhero cinema. It looks like an inspired creative decision. It was actually a studio mandate. According to production accounts, Fox's only creative stipulations for the film were two: use all four major villains and have Lorenzo Semple Jr. write the screenplay. The four-villain requirement was a marketing call from the studio, not a decision from Dozier or Semple. What Fox couldn't have predicted was the unintended consequence. Before the 1966 series and film, the Riddler had appeared only a handful of times in the comics and was not considered a significant Batman villain. Frank Gorshin's electrifying performance changed that permanently. DC Comics subsequently adopted him as a permanent A-list antagonist. Similarly, Catwoman had been largely absent from comics for years due to Comics Code Authority concerns. The film helped revive her entirely. Semple had to construct a plot justifying an alliance between four characters with completely different personalities. The solution tilted heavily toward the Penguin, his submarine, his hideout. His henchmen dominate the narrative. Production historians note that Burgess Meredith's Penguin was the favorite villain among the writing staff, and it shows in how the screenplay is structured. Fox's commercial instinct permanently reshaped Batman's comic book rogues gallery, and one vehicle nearly brought the whole production crashing down, literally. Number 11. The Batcopter sequence is one of the film's most visually striking moments. Batman descending on a rope ladder from a swooping black helicopter, the ocean spread out below. It looks effortless on screen. Behind the camera, the aircraft was fighting to stay in the air. The Batcopter was a Bell 47 G3B-1 helicopter, leased from National Helicopter Service at $750 per day for 5 days in April 1966. Canvas-covered tubular frames were added to the fuselage to simulate bat wings. According to production documentation preserved in auction records, those additions reduced the helicopter's lifting and rotor power by nearly 50%. Pilot Harry House flew the helicopter. Adam West was not in it. Stuntman Hubie Kearns wore the Batman costume for the rope ladder sequences, filmed at Marineland of the Pacific in Palos Verdes, California. Most shots were captured from a distance to conceal the pilot. After filming, the Batwing attachments were removed, the helicopter was repainted, and it was returned to National Helicopter Service, where it reportedly went on to cover the 1968 Super Bowl. Cinematographer Howard Schwartz documented the aerial challenges in American Cinematographer in June 1966. The Batcopter's slow, deliberate movements throughout every sequence are the physical reality of a decorated aircraft that could barely generate enough lift. The Batcopter was not the only vehicle held together with ingenuity and hope. The villain's submarine had an even more surprising origin. Alright, we're at the halfway mark, and things are about to get even wilder. Before we hit the top 10, what's your favorite Batman quote or moment? Drop it in the comments. And if you're enjoying this, smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel grow. Number 10. The Penguin submarine is where the United Underworld does its scheming, where the climactic battle takes place, and where the film's production resourcefulness becomes most visible, if you know where to look. The submarine interior sets were not built for this film. They were redressed from the Seaview control room sets of the Fox television series Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, which ran from 1964 to 1968. Both productions were 20th Century Fox properties, filmed on the same studio lot, making the arrangement practical and cost-effective. Director Leslie H. Martinson, working with the instincts of a seasoned television director, treated set repurposing as standard practice. The approach occasionally showed its limits. The final fight scene on the submarine deck was filmed against a studio backdrop, and documented production notes confirm wrinkles are visible in the painted sky backdrop directly behind the actors during the climactic battle. The script names the vessel as a war surplus pre-atomic submarine purchased by the Penguin under the barely disguised alias P.N. Gwyn from the U.S. Navy. The production leaned into that absurdity rather than fighting it. Compare the Penguin's control room to any episode of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. The Seaview consoles and instrument panels are clearly recognizable beneath the Penguin's decor. It's a perfect metaphor for the entire film. Theatrical ambition executed with television resources at television speed. But some of its most memorable moments came from pure physical endurance. Number 9. There are scenes that become iconic because of the writing, or the direction, or a perfectly timed performance. And then there's Batman, running with a bomb, blocked at every turn by nuns, baby ducklings, a marching band, and couples on a boat, culminating in, "Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb." That scene was filmed at Stearns Wharf in Santa Barbara, California. Adam West confirmed in his final interview before his death, a 2017 conversation with Moviefone, that he personally spent half a day running up and down the Santa Barbara pier with a bomb over my head, West recalled. In full costume, in overcast weather, on a public pier. Cinematographer Howard Schwartz noted in American Cinematographer that the weather was persistently difficult during the Santa Barbara shoot. After a local TV crew filmed the production, Schwartz described what happened the following day as 30,000 people trying to storm the pier, including children on Easter vacation. Crowd control became a genuine crisis on an already punishing schedule. He described the collaborative development of tone with Dozier and associate producer Charlie Fitzsimons, creating scenes that were funny and ridiculous and yet inventively wonderful, West reflected. West performed the running sequences himself in costume for hours, surrounded by thousands of unexpected spectators. His physical exhaustion in later takes is completely real, but one co-star accidentally invented an entire character trait while struggling with a prop. Number 8. The Penguin's quacking, cackling laugh is one of the most imitated villain sounds in television history. Comedians have done it. Children have done it. Subsequent actors playing the character have referenced it directly, and it happened by accident because Burgess Meredith couldn't stop coughing. Meredith had quit smoking over 20 years before taking the role, but the Penguin character required constant use of a long cigarette holder, and the smoke irritated his throat during filming, causing coughing fits that threatened to ruin takes. Rather than fight it, Meredith transformed the cough into a character choice, shaping the involuntary sound into the signature quacking laugh. He described it simply. "Actually, it was a pretty funny noise for a penguin to make. I sounded more like a duck," Meredith said. Meredith wasn't the first choice for the role. Dozier later said, "Almost had Mickey Rooney for Penguin but couldn't juggle conflicts. Too bad, he was dying to do it," Dozier recalled. Meredith recalled Otto Preminger approaching him and saying, "My God, my son won't speak to me unless I get a job on Batman," Preminger told him. Preminger eventually appeared as Mr. Freeze. Meredith was later offered the role of the Penguin's father in Batman Returns but declined due to failing health. That role went to Paul Reubens. A physical limitation became a creative signature that influenced every Penguin portrayal that followed. Number 7. Batman hanging from a helicopter rope ladder with a shark attached to his leg. Robin tossing down a can of shark repellent bat spray. The shark releasing, plummeting into the ocean, and exploding. It is one of the purest distillations of what this film was. The shark was a rubber prop so obviously fake that Adam West reportedly couldn't stop laughing during filming. When the shark is lifted from the water, water pours visibly from a large hole in the back of the prop. The helicopter stunt was performed by stuntman Hubie Kearns, not West. Filming took place at Marineland of the Pacific in Palos Verdes, California, with pilot Harry House at the controls. The oceanic repellent bat sprays included 4 canisters: shark, whale, manta ray, and barracuda. The absurd specificity was entirely deliberate. The shark repellent concept did not originate in the film. It first appeared in Batman issue 117, published in August 1958. The scene contains a well-documented continuity error. When Robin hands Batman the spray, he is positioned above on the helicopter. When Batman uses it, Robin has vanished from the frame entirely. The sequence was filmed across separate shooting days with no continuity check between setups. The shark scene has been parodied in The Simpsons, the Lego Batman movie Arkham City, and the Harley Quinn animated series. Its enduring fame is tied directly to the prop's obvious fakeness. The comedy works because of the production's limitations, not despite them. Number 6. Catwoman is the one major villain in the 1966 Batman film that most casual viewers don't realize was a replacement. Julie Newmar originated the role on television, but she was unavailable for the movie. The 2004 biography Special Catwoman: Her Many Lives cited a back injury, while other accounts point to conflicting film commitments. The May 3, 1966 Los Angeles Times confirmed the replacement during production. Lee Meriwether, the 1955 Miss America, was among multiple actresses who auditioned. Her strategy for winning the part was one of the more creative approaches in the film's history. She described it in a 2022 interview. "I looked around at this room of actresses waiting to read. I said, they aren't going to remember me from Adam. I have to do something," Meriwether recalled. Her solution was purely vocal. She talked higher as Miss Kitka and dropped her voice lower as Catwoman. That contrast won her the part. Meriwether prepared by observing her own 2 pet cats, studying their movements to inform how she carried herself in the role. The tight costume caused real suffering. She recalled, "After filming outside, I got 3rd-degree burns on the back of both shoulders. It was very uncomfortable," Meriwether said. Meriwether brought something Newmar had never been asked to do: sustain a full romantic storyline with Bruce Wayne while maintaining 2 completely distinct vocal identities. That technique was entirely her invention, developed at the audition. Her co-star's physical suffering, however, was on an entirely different level. Number 5. The energy Burt Ward brings to Robin, the leaping, the tumbling, the acrobatic physicality, looks like the work of someone who loves doing it. He was also doing it because the production left him very little choice. The stated reason Ward performed his own stunts was that Robin's small mask revealed too much face for a stunt double to be convincing. Ward later discovered the primary motivation was financial. His salary was SAG minimum, reportedly $350 per week, making him cheaper than hiring a stunt double per stunt. According to a 2017 Hollywood Reporter interview, Ward was sent to the emergency room on 4 of his first 5 days of shooting. For the film specifically, Batman and Robin had to slide down bat poles from approximately 80 feet up on the soundstage, with nothing but a cement floor below. Ward later told Remind magazine, "I've had nightmares thinking about what we did," Ward said. He recalled to Fox News the bitter irony of watching Adam West's stunt double sitting comfortably on set while Ward performed dangerous Batmobile sequences himself. West's double told him directly, "They don't want to take a chance of Adam getting hurt, so they hired me to do it," the double said. "Every time Robin leaps or takes a hit in this film, that is almost certainly Burt Ward, a 20-year-old with no professional experience, being hospitalized on a near-daily basis." Number 4. There is a moment in this film where the narrative logic takes a slight jump. The villains deploy flying umbrellas. A military response should logically follow. Instead, the film cuts directly to the next sequence. There's a gap, and in that gap was Sterling Holloway. A scene on page 57 of Lorenzo Semple Jr.'s screenplay was reportedly filmed and then cut from the final edit. It featured Sterling Holloway, best known as the original voice of Winnie the Pooh, as Major Terry, an Air Force duty officer building a model airplane when Robin called to request military interception of the villain's umbrella fleet. In the scripted version, the Joker evades Air Force radar by deploying metallic confetti. The sequence would have expanded the film's scope to include a military response and given the Joker additional screen time. It was filmed and then removed, reportedly to maintain pacing. Director Martinson told the Television Academy in 2003 that the finished film required maybe a day of editing, and he thought he had 2 cuts I wanted to change, Martinson recalled. Given how tight the editorial process was, the Holloway scene appears to be one of very few things actually cut from the finished product. Holloway's scene remains one of the film's few documented pieces of lost footage, but one cast member's performance not only survived the edit, it permanently transformed an entire comic book franchise. Number 3. The Riddler in this film is manic, unpredictable, and genuinely unsettling even inside a comedy. Frank Gorshin's performance radiates a live-wire intensity that feels different from everything else in the movie, and here's why that matters beyond the film itself. Before this performance, the Riddler was practically nobody. Before the 1966 series and film, the Riddler had appeared only a handful of times in DC Comics and was not considered a significant Batman villain. Gorshin changed that permanently. His electrifying interpretation made the character so popular that DC Comics adopted the Riddler as a permanent A-list antagonist. Dozier later confirmed his conviction simply, "Never thought of anyone for the Riddler except Frank Gorshin. He was my first notion for the Riddler and never anybody else," Dozier said. Gorshin modeled his signature cackle on Richard Widmark's performance as Tommy Udo in Kiss of Death from 1947. He also took issue with the Riddler's original comic book unitard and personally designed an alternative, the green business suit and bowler hat covered in question marks. DC Comics later adopted that design into its official publications. Gorshin remains the only performer from the Batman series to receive an Emmy nomination. After the nomination, his agents demanded more money. The resulting dispute caused him to leave after season 1 and be temporarily replaced by John Astin. Watch Gorshin knowing that before this performance, the Riddler was a footnote. Every tick, every cackle, and every question mark flourish was Gorshin inventing a major villain from scratch. Number 2. Adam West's performance as Batman is so perfectly calibrated that it is hard to imagine anyone else in the role. The deadpan delivery, the absolute sincerity applied to completely ridiculous situations. It feels inevitable. It was not. Dozier's first choice was Western actor Ty Hardin, who was unavailable because he was shooting films in Italy. Hardin's agent came to break the news and showed Dozier an 8x10 photograph of a man standing on a beach with a surfboard. According to Joel Eisner's reference book, the official Batman Batbook, Dozier had never seen this person before. That person was Adam West. 2 formal screen tests were filmed, West and Ward in one and Lyle Waggoner with Peter Diel in the other. The Waggoner pairing was reportedly favored initially, with a more serious and conventional reading. West nailed the deadpan tone Dozier needed. What sealed the decision was a Nestle Quick commercial. According to Les Daniels' biography Batman: The Complete History, Dozier caught West playing a Bond-style spy character on television and immediately recognized the ability to play something ridiculous with complete earnestness. Dozier said, "He's very bright." And when I explained to him that it had to be played with that kind of deadly seriousness, he got it right away, Dozier recalled. The entire cultural legacy of the 1966 Batman hangs on a chain of improbable events: a first choice unavailable in Italy, a beach photograph shown by an agent, and a chocolate milk commercial caught by chance on television. Number 1. Batman is one of the most recognizable characters in the history of entertainment. The truth is that without this film, the character might have disappeared entirely. By the mid-1960s, Batman comic book sales were in serious decline. DC Comics' own history page states that by 1964, the sales of Batman and Detective Comics were sinking, and the series were in danger of being canceled. Adam West addressed it directly in his memoir Back to the Batcave. "We didn't ruin Batman. Quite the contrary. We saved the caped crusader from the one foe he couldn't overcome: dismal sales," West wrote. The film served a critical purpose beyond domestic box office. In many countries outside the United States, the theatrical film was released before the television series, making it Batman's international introduction. The film was particularly significant in the United Kingdom, where audiences saw Batman in color for the first time. Color television was not introduced in the UK until 1969. Cinematographer Howard Schwartz noted in American Cinematographer that only about 10% of the TV audience in this country have color receivers. "We feel the feature will give many viewers a chance to see Batman in color for the first time," Schwartz wrote. The film now holds an 80% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and is widely considered the first major studio superhero feature film, predating Superman by 12 years. Every Batman adaptation that followed exists because this production revived the character when the comics alone could not sustain him. Batman, the 1966 film, was never supposed to be what it became. Borrowed submarine sets, a helicopter that barely flew, a rubber shark with a hole in its back, and a screenplay written in 10 days in Madrid. A producer who had never heard of Batman built the entire creative framework on instinct alone. Every constraint pushed the production towards solutions that became its defining qualities. Playing the material with total deadpan seriousness, painting over a mustache instead of shaving it, turning a coughing fit into a character. None of it was guaranteed. If this video surprised you, drop your favorite fact in the comments, like, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves this movie as much as you do. And as always, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. We'll see you next time.